Hey folks, Laura with Raintree Nursery here. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite plants for the home garden. This is the Goumi. Look at that. Look at all this fruit. Is that amazing? Oh my goodness. Such good stuff. Goumi is one of the easiest plants you can grow in your home garden. You plant it. This plant has been in the ground for approximately 3 years. When I bought it, it was probably that big. And now look at it, it's gorgeous. So Goumi, the Latin is Elaeagnus multiflora, is originally from Russia and the Far East. This is one of the easiest to grow plants that you can find. It's a real workhorse for the home gardener. It has incredibly high nutrition, 17 times more lycopene than a tomato. So the antioxidant activity is off the charts, and if you are of a certain age, that's important to you. So with Goumi, there are several different varieties in cultivation currently. One of them will get 15 by 15. A couple of others will only be 6 by 6. So depending on where you're going to use it in your landscape, you'll want to be careful about which cultivar you choose. One of the things I love about this plant is that in the spring, when weather starts to warm, it blooms. It's covered in these beautiful trumpet yellow blooms that are fragrant. So if you're looking for a fragrant plant to put close to a doorway, this is a great plant for you as well. Goumi is basically a self-fertile plant. There's no other Goumis here in my yard right now, and this is the kind of fruit set that you get on a single Goumi. Goumi is an unusually widely adapted plant. This will grow in USDA zones 4 to 9. This is not a particularly good container plant. Because it grows so quickly and it fixes nitrogen, grows a lot of roots very fast, will easily outgrow a container and then need a lot of watering and pout when it doesn't get it. Goumi happens to be one of the most shade-tolerant fruiting bushes I've ever grown. I've grown this in complete shade, did very well, was very productive. Right here we have it in a full sun location and it's still very productive. So very easy to grow. The flavor of Goumi is powerful. Woo. There's juicy, there's a central edible pit that's a little chewy, and then the rest of it is juicy and lovely, powerful, makes great syrups. It's wonderful to freeze in ice cubes for smoothies. Makes me want more. One of the things I love most about Goumi is its incredible usefulness in the landscape. This is a great hedgerow plant, or if you're trying to make a screen from an unattractive neighbor or an unsightly view, you can definitely put Goumi there. You'll screen it and you'll get fruit, which I love. Because it fixes nitrogen, it will also feed surrounding plants in a situation, whether that's a hedgerow or also, it's really nice to grow with nut trees. Nut trees tend to be really heavy feeders, and they would love something like this in their midst. Also, while your nut trees muscle up and get into their bearing size, you can always be harvesting fruit already from your Goumi. So it's nice to get 2 harvests in one space. Or you can put Goumi in a general landscape setting, just like we have here, in beds. It releases most of its nitrogen when you cut it back. It's easy to keep this clipped and pruned and maintained at whatever height you want it. If you want it a little bit shorter, not a problem, because every time you cut off a branch of this, you release the nitrogen from the roots, and that's really where it does its feeding of the other plants in the landscape. To establish a Goumi, you want to water this plant infrequently but deeply. Because this plant fixes nitrogen, it doesn't need a lot of fertilization. When you plant this plant, like any other plant, you should add 1/3 compost back into the hole and 2/3 soil that came out of the hole, but you should not fertilize this plant when you put it in the ground. In fact, because Gumi is a nitrogen fixer and pretty much feeds itself, it's rare that you would have to feed this plant at all. If you notice any yellowing leaves, or you had some rabbit pressure, deer ate the leaves and you thought it was looking a little peaked, you might give it a little bit of fish emulsion, a liquid fish fertilizer would be the only thing I would add, or a little bit of compost around the roots. Because Gumi is such a cast iron plant, it rarely is bothered by diseases or pests. About the only thing you really have to watch for is birds, because birds, when they discover this, sometimes really like it. So you could use flash tape to scare off the birds. You could net this plant to protect it from birds. And when the berries are very, very dark like this, that is when you know that you need to pick the plants because you want the bounty instead of giving it to the birds. And that's all for us right now. Thanks for watching our growing guide. It's Laura from Raintree Nursery, and I'll see you next time. So good.